Welcome back, troops. Let's tab 59. To break in the weather, take advantage of it and get out and do a tab. Hopefully I can get around about five miles today with a bit of luck. I'm a bit achy actually because I was cutting the hedge down yesterday. I didn't realise I was using muscles I haven't used for ages. So I'm aching a bit around the shoulders from using the hedge trimmer and cutting the hedge down. So anyway, loosen that off with a tab. Now, I've done a couple of videos in the past where I've touched on this next subject, but because things have changed at number 10, we've got a new crew in there. They've rocked up at number 10 and said, we want to make some changes. We don't like what they've been doing. And they're talking about doing a strategic defence review. Now all governments do them when they're in power. Many of us have seen them in the past, options for change. And normally, when they do a defence review, any government, normally, it's right. Let's see where we can cut back, where we can save money. Because there's no money about, is there? But what this lot are saying, that just got in. Now, I don't do politics. Certainly not online. I keep politics to myself, so I'm not going to slag off any party or talk about my political leanings. But what this lot have said is that they're going to increase defence spending, GDP, percentage of our GDP. Now, if that's true, that's great. They're going to spend more money. What are they going to spend it on? They're just going to get more kit and equipment. And this all seems to get lost when they turn around and say, we've got this extra money, and they turn around to the Army, the Navy and the Royal Air Force and say, what do you want? Then you get generals and admirals and air marshals all throwing their bit in the ring saying we want this kit, that kit. What never seems to happen is all the defence reviews we've had in the past, it's always, let's reduce our manpower. And that seems to be our biggest problem. I think what we need is to increase the size of our armed forces. As I say, I've spoke about this before. But the trouble is, people are leaving the armed forces at a fair old rate of knots. And as you know, we're not recruiting that well. So surely they should be looking at that first of all. How can we retain the people we've already invested in? And then how can we recruit more people to want to join the armed forces? Well, it's pretty simple to me. It's pay and conditions. I mean, if you think, I think I've mentioned this before, as I say, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but if you join the fire brigade, your starting pay is way above that of a recruit going into the armed forces, in most trades anyway. So surely we've got to make it more attractive financially for young people to join the armed forces. If we can do that, if we can spend our money there on our most important asset, manpower, I think we're making a start. Yeah, we can knock a few tanks out, build a few more missiles or whatever, but we need people. We need more people. If you look at the war in Ukraine with Russia, it's a meat grinder. They're getting through men and equipment, I know. But you know, you can build a tank in a few weeks or whatever it takes. You can't just get people into the army. Conscription, they mentioned before, that's not the answer. You don't want pressed men and women, not at this stage of the game. So I think they should make joining the armed forces more attractive. Better wage packets, certainly better conditions. I'm not just talking about single soldiers and airmen and sailors accommodation. I'm talking about the married quarter situation. There's some horrendous stories out there on the state of some of the married quarters. So they need to be sorted out. That's another key retention thing, I think. If the married quarters are good and the pay is good, that's a start, isn't it? To get that squared away. And then, if young people today, right, they are much more savvy than when I joined up. When I joined the army, I didn't have a clue how much I was going to be getting. I was 17 and a half in the army. I didn't think to myself, wonder how much I'm going to get. I didn't join up for the money. I didn't have a clue what it was. I just assumed it'd be all right. And it was, to be fair. But Nowadays, they flick a phone on, they can Google how much a soldier gets in training, what trades the money goes up at, etc. They can find all that at the flick of a phone. And then they can compare that to other careers and trades. And at the end of the day, think, what's the point? I can go and be a farmer and earn more money than going in the army. I can go and do whatever, get a trade. So that's what I'm saying, there's no incentive, financial incentive, to get people to come in. And then when you've got them in, there's no real incentive for them to stay in. So I think we've got to look there first. I think that's where they've got to decide what to do. Now, if they can make it attractive and start to increase our numbers, you know, we're not losing so many people each year and we seem to be recruiting more, then obviously it's going to take a while, because we're well under strength at the moment. Whatever strength we should be at, we're never going to be at that strength. We're always going to be under that strength. But if we want to increase the size of the army by stopping the people leaving and getting people in, then we've got to think where we're going to put these new forces if we build them up. We've shut down so many of our camps. So we need to think of infrastructure, building new camps. We've only got, I think it's 33 infantry battalions, regular army infantry battalions in the British Army. 33 battalions. And they're not going to be at full strength. And then we've got about 16 reserve infantry battalions. I can guarantee you they're not going to be at strength either. So if we're going to increase the size of the manpower, the actual boots on the ground, then we're going to need new barracks building, or renovate some of the older barracks that are stood empty at the moment before they get knocked down and houses get built on them, or they put somebody from a foreign country to live in it. So that's got to be sorted out as well. So it's all down to morale, isn't it? It's all down to the morale of the individual soldier, sailor or airman. Keep them happy, they'll stay in. And then once the Joe public see that it's a good job to be in, the pay's good, the accommodation's good, the pension packages, they need to sort that out. They need to make the pension package, and they need to advertise that too. That's something I've found. You watch all these army recruitment adverts, and they're always showing you blokes jumping through ditches and over walls and firing tanks and stuff. They never say to you about the pay or the pension benefits afterwards, because that's another thing. It's another tick in the box. It's a morale booster. And the care after your service. So when you leave the service, why don't you talk in these recruitment adverts about how they're going to look after you after your service is finished? We all know how poor that is, how poorly our veterans are looked after in most cases. So getting all those sorts of things sorted out, I think, will probably help us. So, am I still going? Yeah, so as I was saying, I had to stop then and talk to somebody. As I was saying, maybe in the adverts, the army recruiting, the air force recruiting, the navy recruiting adverts, maybe mention pay. Maybe tell the recruit what they can expect pay-wise. Show them, instead of showing them blokes jumping through ditches, yeah, show a bit of that. It's all exciting for young people to see that sort of stuff. That gets them all fired up to join. Why not a recruiting advert showing them the accommodation they're going to get, the benefits? They never really talk in depth about what they're going to give to people joining up. Food for thought, isn't it? And the pension, I say the pension system, I don't think that's the best it could be. You know, there's a lot of people who don't even claim their deferred pension. You know, so if a guy does 6 years in the forces, 9 years in the forces, and gets out, or even 3 years in the forces, gets out, obviously they don't get a pension when they leave after that short period of time. But of course it's a deferred pension, so when they get to, I think it's 60, they can then claim that pension. And it isn't a lot if you've only done a few years, depending on your rank, etc., in trade. But it's something. But a lot of people don't bother to claim it. That's not, you know, that can't be right. Surely, you know, Manning Records should give you more information about that. So when the guys leave, because they might really need that £100 a month little pension or deferred pension, or £200 a month. That might mean a lot to some people. I'm sure it does. So that's my take on it. I don't think they're doing enough. I think they're not looking at recruiting the right way. So this new crew in number 10, sure they're not watching Let's Tab 59, but if they were, what I'd say to them is sort the pay and conditions out. Stop losing people out the armed forces. Stop the flow of people sacking it because they've had enough, they're cheesed off. Stop that, get that squared away, inject money into that, and inject money into the pay so that new recruits, new people, that are potential people that are going to join the armed forces, can see an advert and say, listen, you join up, you're going to get this, and after training, you're going to get this, and as you take trades, it's going to go up. They need more incentive, not an advert, somebody getting his prayer mat out, not an advert, somebody jumping out of a tank, running through a wet ditch. Show some of that if you want to, but show them the benefits. And look after the people we've got there. Look after these people, they're precious. Our armed forces are precious. Manpower is precious. Like I say, in Ukraine and Russia, see how many people they're losing. That's difficult to replace. We need to strengthen the army, we need more infantry, we need more artillery, we need more everything, I think. We need to increase our size, get it back up there, and then keep it there by looking after them. Anyway, enough waffle for me. I've got a few miles to do. I can't stand around here talking. Anyway, if you're new to my channel and you haven't subscribed, please consider it. I'm not saying do it, I'm saying consider it. Until next time, troops, and it won't be long. Remember, stay safe and let's tab.